guys, it's Miss Fiala. I just want to go over today's lesson with you. Today's Thursday, 4/23. So when you open up the attachment, here's your FSA countdown page. Then you scroll down and you have your worksheet page for the lesson for today. Today's lesson is on area and perimeter, but more specifically, it's on finding the missing side when you're given the area, okay? The FSA countdown page is all on area and perimeter. So after today's lesson, you should be able to complete these no problem. But if you still have any questions, please send me a private message on Edmodo and we can set up a Zoom meeting if you are still struggling. Same with the lesson for today. Okay, if you're still struggling with this concept, you need to let me know so we can set up a meeting. Alrighty, so I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to go over area and perimeter with you and how to find that missing side when you're given the area. Okay? Alrighty. Okay, so today's lesson is on area and perimeter. I just want to review a little bit about how you find area and how you find perimeter. These formulas are on your reference sheet that was posted on Edmodo, and you can use that reference sheet if you ever forget the area and perimeter. You can have the formulas written down right in front of you, and that's perfectly fine, okay? So you can have these formulas up when you take your quiz, okay? So area, how we find area is we do length times the width. And how do we find perimeter? We do length plus width plus width. And you might also see it written as 2L plus 2W. That just means 2 lengths, 2 times the length, and 2 times the width, and you add them together, okay? So perimeter, we're adding up all the sides, okay? Area, we're doing the length and multiplying it times the width. Let's talk about when you find area and when you would want to find perimeter. So area is all the square units inside a figure. So if you were to draw a rectangle or a square or any shape on a grid, it's all the square units inside that shape. So really, if it's drawn on a sheet of grid paper, you could actually just count all the squares and that's going to give you the area. So area is all the square units inside a figure, okay? And now when we talk about area, since we're talking about square units, when we say and what area is, we're talking about that as squared. So your answer, you're going to give, for example, if my length here was 6 and my width was 5, just for an example, we have to do length times the width. I'm going to do 6 times 5, and that equals 30. Okay, and let's say this was, we said it was inches, okay? My answer is going to be 30 inches, but not just 30 inches squared, because we're talking about all the square units inside a figure. So you can write that as a little 2 above inches, or you can write it as 30 square inches. Okay? If you are not given units such as inches, feet, yards, miles, okay? If you're not given the units, you can just write square units if you don't know. But a lot of times it's given to you, you have to just read carefully, okay? So we're talking about area. We're talking about the square units inside a figure. So when would you need to find area in real life? When would you need to know the area of something? Okay, so think of filling in something. So, for example, if you were to want to put a carpet in your bedroom, you would need to know the area because you're trying to fill, here's your room, you're trying to fill the whole thing with carpet. So you need to know all the square units, okay? Same if you were going to tile your floor. You need to know all the square units of the floor, okay? Another example would be, what else do you cover completely? Well, when you paint a wall. You need to cover the whole wall with paint, so you need to know all the square units of the wall, okay? If you were to maybe put grass in your yard, you're putting grass across the whole yard, so you need to know the area, all the square units, okay? And these are just a couple examples. You can think of some other examples that you would need to use area as well. So now perimeter. When do we find perimeter? So perimeter is the outside of a figure. So remember, with perimeter, we're finding the length plus the length plus the width plus the width. We're just talking about around a figure. So when would you need to know perimeter? So we're not covering the whole thing. We're just doing the outside edge of something. So for example, if I were to put a fence around my yard, I'm not putting a fence throughout the whole yard. I'm just doing the outer edge of the yard with a fence. I would need to know the perimeter, okay? What if I wanted to put a border around my walls? A border doesn't cover the whole wall. It just goes around the edge, okay? So I would need to know the perimeter. You notice on our bulletin boards at school, we have some borders around the bulletin boards, okay? I would need to know the perimeter for that, okay? Can we think of some other examples? If I look at the floor in your house, I'm sure we have these. You have a baseboard. It's kind of that white strip that goes around the edge of the floor. It goes around the edge. That's the outside of a figure. We would need to know the perimeter to know how much of a baseboard we need to cover the whole room, okay? And these are examples. You're going to need to know these for real life, okay? You're definitely going to need to know how to find the perimeter and area to do some of these things when you're older. So that's area and perimeter, and those were the formulas for each. So I'm going to do just a quick example. So area was length times width. I'm going to rewrite these because you can have these written. Okay? So if I was to find the area of a rectangle, and I told you the length was 11 feet, and I said the width was 6 feet, and I want to know what is the area of this rectangle, I have to do length times width. So I'm going to do 11 times 6, which equals 66. 66 what? 66 feet. We're talking about area. Remember, area is all these square units inside a figure. So it's 66 feet squared, okay? Be careful because on your quiz, you might be given an answer choice of just 66 feet. That is incorrect when you're talking about area. It's 66 feet squared. Or it could be written as square feet. Okay? Now I want to know, what if I want to know just the perimeter of this rectangle? So perimeter is length plus width plus width. So that's all I'm going to do. Perimeter. Length plus width plus width. So I'm going to do 11 plus 6 plus 6. And I'm going to do these two at a time so I don't make a mistake. So 11 plus 11 is 22. Plus what's 6 plus 6? 12. So I'm doing 22 plus 12, and that gives me 34. 34 feet. When you're talking about perimeter, you do not write squared. It's not squared. Perimeter is not all the square units. Perimeter is just the outside edge, okay? So it's just 34 feet. If you were given an answer choice that said 34 feet squared, and you chose that, that would be incorrect, okay? We're not squaring it when we're talking about perimeter, okay? So that's the basics of finding area and perimeter, okay? I'll give you one more example like that. Finding area and perimeter. If I have a rectangle that was 13 yards is the length, and I said 24 yards is the width. Okay? Now this one, I'm talking about area. I want to find the area. Length times the width. So I would have to do 13 times 24. And I gave this example because it is possible to get, because we have already learned how to do a 2-digit number times a 2-digit number. Okay, so you could get this as an example or as a question. If you need to multiply a 2-digit number times a 2-digit number, remember the best way we did that was to use our box method. I'm going to do 10 plus 3 and 20 plus 4. Here's my box method. Okay, now inside this box, what's on top? 10. What's to the side is 20. 10 times 20 is 1 times 2 is 2, and I add 2 zeros, 200. Inside this box, what's on top of the box is 3. What's to the side of the box is 20. So I'm doing 3 times 20, which is 60. Inside this box, what's on top of the box? 10. What's to the side of it? 4. 10 times 4 is 40. Inside this box, what's on top is 3 times what's to the side is 4. And 3 times 4 is 12. These are all your partial products. So I'm going to add 200 plus 60 plus 40 plus 12 to get my answer of 312. But remember, I'm talking about area. So it's 312 yards squared. Area is squared, okay? So that's another example of how we're finding area. Now this is if you're given the length and the width. And if you're given the length and the width, finding the area and perimeter should be pretty easy. Now if I was to find the perimeter of this same rectangle, I'm doing length plus width plus width. So I'm adding 13 plus 13 plus 24 plus 24. And remember, I'm going to do 2 at a time so it's not confusing. And you can even add it on the side of your paper too. 13 plus 13 is 26, plus what's 24 plus 24 is 48. So now I'm adding 26 plus 48, okay? 8 plus 6 is 13. 4 plus 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So your answer here is 73 yards. Not squared because we're talking about the perimeter. So it's just yards, okay? And that's again if the length and the width are given to you, okay? That's how we find area and perimeter. Alrighty? Now today, and what your worksheet page is on, is finding a missing side length when you're given the area. For example, you're given a problem that says you have a quilt. The length is, let's do 7 feet. The length is 7 feet. The area is 42 feet squared. It's telling you the area. The area I'm going to put inside. I'm going to write it inside my rectangle. And I always draw a rectangle when I do my problems to help me visualize. So area equals 42 feet squared. What is the width of this quilt? I do not know the width. I know the length and I know the area. I need to find the missing side. There is one step to solve these problems. And that is to divide the area by the side you are given. Okay, what is my area? My area is 42. Divided by, what is the side that I'm given? 7. What is 42 divided by 7? Or you can ask yourself, what times 7 gives me 42? Because remember, area is length times width. So 7 times something gives me 42. And the answer here is 6. So my width is 6 feet. Some of you are accidentally going to put 6 feet squared. That is not correct. The area is squared. The length and the width are not. It is just 6 feet. Okay, when you're finding a missing side length, It is just in the units, feet, inches, yards. You are not squaring it, okay? So you can write this down to help you when you do your worksheet page. All right, let's do another one. What if I have this? I am telling you the area is 64 inches squared. I'm telling you the length is 8 inches. What is the missing side length? I'm going to follow my one step. I'm going to divide the area divided by the length you are given, 8. How many times does 8 go into 64? And if you don't know, you can always skip count until you get to 64, okay? So 8 goes into 64, 8 times. So my missing side length is 8 what? 8 inches. Okay? This is actually not a rectangle, it is a square. Okay? Remember, a square, all the sides are equal. So if you're ever given a problem that tells you it is a square, you know that all the sides are going to be the same length. Okay? So here's another example. I'm going to tell you that the width is 6 miles. The length, we don't know. But I'm also going to tell you that the area equals 54 miles squared. Okay, so I'm going to follow my one step. I'm going to divide the area, 54, divided by the width that is given to you. This is the side that's given to you of 6. Okay, how many times can 6 go into 54? Or what times 6 equals 54? Because remember, area is length times the width. Okay? If you don't know, you can skip count by 6 until you get to 54, if that is helpful for you. And it is 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. My missing side is 9. It's not just 9. It's 9 what? 9 miles. And you don't square the length or the width. The area is the only thing that's squared. Okay? All right, if you have any other questions on that, please send me a message and we can set up a Zoom meeting, okay? After this video lesson, you need to do your FSA countdown page. And you need to complete your worksheet page on finding the missing side when you're given the area. Remember, there's just one step. And then you also need to do your One Imagine math lesson on your FSA Review Week 5 pathway. You're not working in any other pathway. At the end of today, you should have 3 lessons completed by the end of today. And then tomorrow, you should be finishing the entire pathway, which only has 4 lessons in it because it was a short week. Okay? And don't forget, tomorrow is your quiz. We have now done all of the lessons for the week, which was only 3 lessons, okay? So if you need to, go back, rewatch some of the other videos from Tuesday, Wednesday, and you can rewatch this video before you take your quiz tomorrow. I'm also going to be posting a review video that you can watch as well to help you review for your quiz, okay? You should be doing that before every quiz so you can ensure that you are passing it the first time that you take it. Okay, if you have any other questions, let me know. And today's code word is multiply. Okay, so you can send me that in a private message to earn your dojo point. Okay, thank you. Bye.